Oh my God. I did not realize how crazy this whole situation is. So I mean this when I say this. I really hope that this is Sophie Cunningham just giving an example. I hope this is her just being misinformed, throwing out an example out there. But there is no way. There is no way. If this is what the players, prevailing thought amongst the players is, like, Kathy is right. Like, I don't want to say the players are dumb, but holy shit, if this is real. So the fans are genuinely brain dead. And this is what the Nevers grows. I hope they're not as dumb as some of the fans are. I hope they're not as dumb. Like, it literally said, like I said, Sophie Cunningham says, with a 50% gross rev split, if a jersey sells for $100 and the league makes $50. Let's listen to it right here. So I'm not making this up.
Okay. Right in the NBA, buy my jersey in the NBA. If you're paying $100, the league gets $50, I get $50. Okay. Right now, in the W, it's like the league gets $97, $98, and I get $2.
The league makes about $5 per jersey sold. 10 of the $100 if we are being real. The league makes its money by offering a license up to Nike. The amount of money that Nike give per jersey sold, I don't know if it's on a jersey by jersey basis. I don't know if it's a flat fee at the start of the year. And if you want to say that of that specific licensing fee, the players should be paid 50%. Okay. Like, that is if that is the point she is trying to make. She made it badly, but okay. Okay. Like, the players might get paid 50% of the licensing for the jerseys in the NBA. They very well could. They very well could. They very well might. But, like, that licensing, let's put it as a high estimate of $10 per jersey is what the league makes. Instead of $50, even if you made 50%, it's $5. Split amongst 200 players in the league is what? If you make $5, even if you made 50%, it's what? It's 25 cents. So realistically, for every jersey that's sold, even if they had what she said, it's closer to 25 cents. And the WNBA PA have already pushed so that all teams get paid equally. So every Caitlin Clark jersey gets spread amongst every single player. Like, that is it. It is what it is. Everything the Fever makes in terms of merchandise revenue gets split amongst every single team. That's already been decided. The PA have already put that in. I've already put that as a stipulation if anything gets signed. So if you're playing, like, the Fever, the Vox, and the Liberty are sorting everything. But, like, I'm literally arguing with some of the dumbest people online. I was like, what's the actual league revenue? I was like, there's production costs, shipping costs, distribution costs, then Nike takes their cut. Obviously, Nike needs to pay their shareholders, so they're going to take a cut, and they've paid the licensing fee already, so they can do whatever the hell they want after that. And then it all depends on how it's sold. Wholesaler, store, consumer, direct from Nike through Fanatics, overall very low margins, probably $5 to $10 total made per jersey. Someone says, I think that's net revenue. Are you dumb? Like, are you genuinely this dumb? The league makes nothing of individual jersey sales. They license it to Nike. They receive a license fee. After that, they have nothing to do with anything. Other than the licensing fees, they have nothing. Like, they're trying to say that, let's say I own a shop. Let's say I own a shop. I own a basketball store. I move over to America to live the old-fashioned American dream. And I go and open up a basketball store and I buy a bunch of WNBA jerseys. It costs me from the wholesaler, I don't know. Let's just say I get screwed over by a wholesaler and I end up having to pay $60 for a jersey. I try to sell them for $100. But according to WNBA players, they are owed 50%, like, through every single chain. But the end goal, they're owed 50% of that. So therefore, my $40 profit is actually, somebody has to make a $10 loss to get $50 to the players. So either Nike, who probably cost between distribution, between marketing, between licensing fees. My guess is it probably cost Nike maybe $40 per jersey. Maybe, let's just say it cost Nike $30 to $40 per jersey. And I have no idea. Let's just say, for argument's sake, let's go $40 per jersey. It costs Nike to produce when you include marketing and when you include licensing and when you include distribution, getting them, moving them around and getting them to somewhere. It costs a wholesaler per jersey. Let's just say the wholesaler, if it costs $40 for Nike. The wholesaler buys them in bulk at $50 a jersey. So Nike profits $10 per jersey when it's all said and done. And the wholesaler sells them at $60 a jersey. They profit per jersey because they're able to sell them in bulk. They profit, say, $10 a jersey. And then because of the costs, depending on the size per shop, they sell them for 100. They sell 50% of jerseys at 100 and then have to release the rest of them on sale for 60. And they get an average of maybe 70. Let's just say an average is at 75 versus one's at full price sold, one's on sale. When it's all said and done, suddenly you're looking at no one on, like, you're looking at a slightly over the break-even point at every single step of the distribution. And people are trying to say that's net revenue, they need gross revenue. First of all, the only thing that's league revenue is the licensing. The only thing is league revenue. I said you better calm down, licensing fees, yada yada. I mean, it's a revenue share and it's split 100. It's a profit share. They're like, that's what any demands of gross revenue. Like, yeah, like where does the gross revenue come from? Is it gross revenue of jersey sales? Like of the jerseys sold? So do you want 50% of the random store that sells the jersey? Or are you looking for 50% of the licensing fee? And I mean, like, maybe she just used the worst example possible. But the fact that this is an example that was said, no one thought over it or thought anything about it, that this was the example that was used. Like, the reality is, when it's all said and done, that it was said, assuming it gets Nike at $60, whatever. And when it's all said and done with these type of things, like, it is a complete misunderstanding of where the revenue is. And I literally said this: if this is a nonsense being fed to players, no wonder they think the league is losing money. If this is, and Sophie Cunningham, I'm not saying I don't think Sophie Cunningham is dumb, nor do I think she's not clued in. I think this has to be being fed to her. This specific example is being fed to players, because there is no way in hell that she just came up with that as a random thing. Like, there is no way. And she also said as well, if someone buys my jersey, I get $50. No, like, I'm sorry. So LeBron James, I'm not joking. You're trying to say LeBron James makes, what, $200 million a year? LeBron James makes $200 million a year? From jersey sales? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. The league mightn't even make $200 million a year from total jersey sales. And that's including bringing out city jerseys every 6 weeks. Like, I genuinely said it, if this is the type of nonsense being fed to players, no wonder they think the league's hiding money. No wonder they're holding out. If this is being fed to players, no wonder. No wonder. Someone said, it's the split that other athletes get. And I genuinely was like, no, it's not. You can't be this dumb. The league makes money off licensing for the jerseys. After that, nobody other than Nike, wholesalers, or retailers see a cent of jersey revenue. You people can't be this dumb. And the worst part is that someone said you missed the price that in the NBA it's 50-50 and WNBA is 97-3. It's actually not. It's actually not. It is 70% of net. So they're looking at it for a total. The difference is that they're looking for 70% of net revenue, which is 70% of profits. Which is 70% of profits. And ironically, what the league are doing with net revenue is basically trying to give themselves no risk. What they're trying to do with the net revenue is trying to guarantee themselves no risk. And if you're doing it on profit, there's no risk. But I'm being dead serious when I say this. If the league is growing to the extent that players think it's going to grow, and the new TV deal comes in, and the league starts profiting massively, then that net revenue will be higher. And the funniest thing about all this is that if the league said, okay, or if the league came to the players and said, okay, we will give you 30% gross revenue, but you're on your own. Or we'll give you 40% gross revenue, but you're on your own. As in, like, we're not guaranteeing charter flights, we're not guaranteeing 5-star stays. Teams can do what they want. We're not guaranteeing you facilities. We're not doing any of this. Would they say yes? The answer is no. The answer is no. That it is what it is. The answer is no. The reality is the operating cost of the league is really high. The operating cost, like, let's just say the WNBA brings in, let's just say hypothetically, the WNBA brings in 10%, or let's 5% of the revenue the NBA does. It's probably about 5%. But the operating cost of the WNBA team versus an NBA team might be 25% of the operating costs. And that might be I'm exaggerating at 25%. When you pre-salary, yeah, maybe it's 25% for maybe 5% of the revenue. And I'm definitely wrong with those numbers. It's probably closer to 10% of the operating cost with 2% of the revenue. That's where the whole issue comes in. And if players are being fed information that if they sign a 30% rev split, they're getting $30 per jersey sale. Like, if that is what they're being sold, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. Like, no wonder they're holding out for this. If this is the lie they're being told, that they're going to get $30, that the league makes all their jersey money, and the league's getting rich off their jerseys, they're not. They're not. The league is barely breaking even, if breaking even at all. It's barely breaking even. There are individual teams making a profit, but I would say the league is just about breaking even. Right now, I do think the league could profit very much soon, which is why I think the players would be dumb to strike, because it's done, the league. But if the players have been sold the fairy tale that they're going to make they're going to make for a $100 jersey, whatever their rev split is, they're making that, whatever percentage is in dollars per individual jersey they sell for themselves. No wonder they're holding out for this. If they've been told this fairy tale, no wonder they're holding out. Of course, if this is actually what they're being fed, no wonder they are. And this is not against saying players are dumb. No wonder they are. This is the most too good to be true thing ever. I said, to be honest, they should get it. I literally said, you do realize nobody makes major money. Paying players $50 will bankrupt the sale. I'm not joking when I say this. If WNBA players are paid $50 per sale, and it all came out of Nike's pocket, then Nike would probably be losing. When you put into distribution costs and the fact that they probably only make $10 per sale, if then suddenly they have to give $50, they're probably losing $40 per jersey. I'm not joking when I say this. If a person rich or a company rich enough that wants to bankrupt Nike could bankrupt Nike. If this, obviously it's never going to happen. But if this entire situation happened, and this is what the players are getting paid, Adidas could bankrupt Nike tomorrow by just buying 10 million WNBA jerseys. They could literally bankrupt them by doing that, which would be hilarious. Would you imagine Nike being bankrupted because of a WNBA deal, and the WNBA players getting stupidly rich? Stupidly rich. Or a random player, they buy 10 million Tahina Pow Pow jerseys and she becomes one of the richest athletes in the world. Do you imagine that hypothetical? But obviously it's not going to happen. I said, yeah, profit on a jersey might only be $50 and split 50-50, $25 each, which is a shame. Okay, profit might only be $50. Profit for who? The retailer. Oh, the players get 25. So you're going to go to every individual retailer, how many jerseys did you sell? Okay. Go in with a damn gun, being gun to the head. The WNBA players mafia. All the WNBA players going to their local store. So how many jerseys did you sell today? How many were mine? I want half of your. So this is what you sold. This is what you sold. I need half of that. It's well, I didn't even profit. I was well, I paid more than half. No, I need half of that. Going just to random stores. Could you just imagine that? So random WNBA players going to random shop selling jerseys, demanding 50% of the money. That's the only scenario where they could get 50% of what the retailers. You said the NBA it's a 50-50 and WNBA is 97-3. It's not even 97-3. The players don't get paid for jersey sales, which is fucking garbage right now. Which is absolutely garbage. We know the players don't get paid, but it's not, they don't get 50%. The NBA players don't get 50% of jersey sales. It doesn't matter the owners are making everywhere the NBA. WNBA ain't making money, the owners are wanting. They're only getting the anti-man, the owners been like, yeah, duh, no shit. It's not. She was providing a very small example of content structure versus the 50%. By giving a very detailed example that is so different, so far wrong when it comes to this. But are you getting revenue and profit confused? No. You guys don't understand the chain of distribution. And this is the thing in these comments, people are oh yeah, Sophie's right. And it's man, I've never worked retail. I've never worked retail, but I do have a mathematics degree. I do have a master's degree, but absolutely none of that is in any way relevant to what I'm saying. But I'm going to go with the WNBA players of, we're educated. I'm very educated. It's absolutely irrelevant to the fact that when I was 13 years old sitting in business class, we learned about the chain of distribution and how wholesalers work and how money goes to different parts. Like, I sat in the great room. What room number was it? Who even was my business teacher? Room 7, listening to Miss Frayne, who was a French teacher who just had to teach a business class and had no idea how to teach business, reading from a book about the chain of distribution. Like, I sat there, and that's about the extent that I know about the chain of distribution. But like, still, from that couple of classes when I was 14 years old from a business teacher who wasn't even a business teacher, I understand the general basics of how the chain of distribution works enough to know that somehow players thinking that that they are entitled to 50% of the final retail price of a good is fucking berserk. And the fact people are coming in defending, saying that's why they're looking for gross revenue so they can get 50% of the retail price of jerseys is mental. And if someone has convinced players that they're entitled to any sort of percentage that is above like 3 of them, and by the way, 3% still realistically means they're getting 50% of what the league's getting in terms of licensing, and they're entitled to any amount of the final retail price of a jersey sale and not a cut of the licensing fee. Like, if anyone successfully convinced the players of that, then fair play to them. Fair play. Because all this talk about degrees, if you've convinced a whole bunch of players who have degrees, who are educated, that they're entitled to something, a cut of the final retail price of jersey sales after it goes through about 15 different things on the chain of distribution, then fair play. Fair play if you've managed to do that. If that is the tipping point on a strike, fair play. You're a serious, like, you should honestly, like, that is managing to convince someone of that is one of the more impressive things I would have ever heard. And I hope that it's just a bad example from Sophie Cunningham. But judging by some of the responses to what Sophie said, like, there are genuinely people that believe that NBA players make $50 per jersey sale. That if the players sign a 30% gross revenue or whatever gross revenue, they get that as a percentage of final jersey sales. No. Literally no. They're going to get a cut of the individual licensing fee, which is tiny.